Hi, friend. Thank you for joining us at Pasture Experience Podcast. This podcast, inspired by Psalm 23, is a safe space to be honest with yourself, experience the Trinity on your own pasture journey, and join our soul-nourishing conversations wherever you are on your spiritual path. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you feel encouraged and known. I used to feel like being still was selfish. Today's episode is about finding and experiencing intimate trust by being still. Stillness comes to many of us probably through not our choice. Yes, I don't know many of us that say, I really just want to sit down and be still. In fact, being still petrifies a lot of us. But yet I can't help but wonder how the invitation often comes without our choosing, but then we learn how to find comfort and protection in that still and quietness. My journey with stillness came through an unexpected medical situation where I discovered that I had a tumor that we nicknamed Umi. It's the tumor that's no longer with us, we refer to. But that tumor put me in bed rest for 8 weeks. And so I was on the couch, still and quiet. And I started noticing all the lovely feelings that I had in my stillness. Feelings of frustration and feelings of anger. You might be laughing because if you too have been forced to be still without your choosing, stillness surfaces a lot of ugly. And for me, it was like really, really ugly. I became very aware of how much of my life I base on my worth that I can do something. I can get up and make dinner. I can play with my boys. I'm of use. But when I was still, I felt useless. I felt panicky. I felt like I had nothing to offer. I felt humble to receive when people brought food and played with our kids. And I'm watching my husband clean the house, which he's a rock star at. But stillness really was the shepherd's gentle invitation to start experiencing a long journey of what I'm finding now to be that I can trust him, that there is intimate trust built when I'm still with somebody and I'm not able to do anything for them. When I'm still with myself and I can say, I like who I am when I'm not doing. When I learn that peace that comes, that contentment, that experience. And again, this podcast really is just to invite you to experience, because we can talk about stillness all day long, but until we actually do it, whether against our will or in our intentional choosing, we won't come to experience that intimate trust that is built. And so I just started really noticing that summer on my couch, all the lovely things that were coming up in that stillness. And I found also that in the stillness and in the quiet scares me to death. That being a verbal processor, being somebody who values words, I very much had found my cadence and my worth in looking at how my words were responded to verbally. Without even knowing, I looked at, am I okay? Are you telling me I'm okay? I hadn't done that hard work of really looking inside and knowing I am okay when I'm not doing. I am okay when I'm being still. But my natural go-to is to keep going, to be busy, to be on. And so that summer really invited me to get into that uncomfortable, but what has turned into a craving for stillness and quiet. For in that quiet, God literally put on repeat that verse in Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. And you guys, I'm not kidding. I would walk in I would be somewhere reading and that verse would pop up. And in the last couple of years, that verse has continued, that truth has continued to echo and repeat. And I just started noticing and being aware of that. I would walk in a coffee shop and it's plastered on this sign, or I'm at a flea market and there's these vendor handmade signs, and everywhere it's like, be still, be still. And I just finally sat on the porch one morning. I was like, God, I'm so sick of being still. Stillness feels selfish. Stillness feels lazy. I wonder if you're laughing wherever you are right now listening, because you're like, yes, like there's nothing production worthy about stillness. Yet, show me somebody who knows the beauty and the art of intentionally stilling themselves, and I will show you somebody who is so content in the undoing, in the being, in the listening, in the space that comes, and the stillness, and the way that God meets in the quiet. You know that verse in Psalm 23 about he leads me beside the still waters, and he restores my soul. I can't help but wonder if a lot of our journey is kind of surrendering and releasing ourselves to the stillness so that our souls can be restored. For me, much of the journey has been in releasing who I feel like I need to be on, to be loud, to be fun. We had some guests recently, and I found myself feeling like, gosh, our life is just so simple. Our rhythms are so slow. I crave that space now, because I experience this deep sigh of relief and being when I can just sit and listen. And so I think it's that slow journey. It's that quiet journey. And sometimes it comes without our choosing, right? Stillness comes with a medical situation. Stillness comes in a challenge in marriage. It comes in a catastrophe. It comes in our unchoosing. And then we have the option to jump headfirst into it and succumb to it and say, God, I want to know what you're revealing in this, or we can fight it. And man, I've done both. I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to show that stillness who's boss. But more than ever now, I'm noticing the tethering it does and the calmness that I experience when I allow myself to just be quiet. And in that quiet, in the being still, is when I know God. I know his presence. We come to know his protection. We come to experience him, like that psalm that says he covers us with his wings. I get that image of this sweet mama bird just kind of tucking her little birds close by, and I see how God does that with us. I see that when we're hurt or we're frantic or we're tired or we're just longing to be off, to not perform, to not be talking, that he pulls us close and he offers his presence in that stillness. And what a gift that is. And so how do you experience stillness? When I even say that word, what thoughts come up? Are you like, oh gosh, please no? Or is there a stirring in that? Is there a leaning forward and a leaning in? Is there a part of you that just craves that so much? If so, I invite you to continue sitting with that, to keep asking, God, I don't know how to do stillness, but will you invite me? Maybe it starts with just 1 minute. Maybe it starts within the shower, or you just calm your mind and you just say, God, where are you meeting me today? Help me have eyes to see. Help me have ears to hear. Help me have a heart that's attuned to you. Maybe it's when you're driving the kids to and fro, or when you're on your way to work, that you just turn off the radio and you just get used to that rhythm of quiet. And you notice what comes up in the quiet, what feelings, what fears, what's underneath those thoughts and those emotions. I think the longer we sit with the quiet, the more we crave his presence in the quiet. And so my invitation for you today is to start getting comfortable with that, even if it feels scary. as I've learned to be still after that first medical situation, now I find myself just hungering for the quiet and the being and the listening and the noticing. And that is where God is, like a sweet, sweet father who just longs to just pull up a chair and be near. There's nothing more healing than being near someone when they have nothing to say, but just to say, I see you and I just want to be by you. Your presence matters. And so, sweet friend, what does that look like to be still? To experience that trust that comes, that whether in words or in silence, you are known and you are loved, and that you are longed to be with, that you don't have to be on. That is what the shepherd is constantly inviting us into. And I'd love to invite you to join our soul nourishing conversation next week with David Arms. He owns a gallery in Leafers Fork, Tennessee, and he is one who knows about being still, and his journey is beautiful. And I invite you to join us. For the live and our Skype guests, we'll provide a video option, and you can check that out on YouTube, and that will also be available in the show notes. But for today, your invitation is to be still and know that God is present with you right where you are. As always, thank you for taking time out of your space and your day to join us here at Pasture Experience Podcast. I hope that you were able to, during our time, just listen to yourself and experience a new nugget of how the shepherd is inviting you and meeting you. And I'd love to just end our time reading Psalm 23 over you as you go about your day. May you know that he is with you, regardless of what your circumstances look like. Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. And surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Grace and space to you today.